Welcome to Optimal Game State. I'm a little late on this one. We're well into April and only looking back at the month of March. This was a pretty good month though, and it did feel like GW are starting to get back on track. All but 1 week had a big release for one of the main game lines. So that's Solar Auxilia for Horus Heresy, Orcs for the Old World, Crude for 40k, and the most recent Dawnbringers release for Age of Sigmar. The amount of releases has been pretty insane, even if we're only focusing on the box game lines like I do. The goal of these videos, as I always say, is to look over what we can pick up now rather than worrying about what's due up for pre-order. It's also a good chance to look across the various lines to understand how the release schedule for your favourite game compares with others, as it's easy sometimes to think that we're being neglected while most of the other lines basically get the same treatment. I also find it a good time to look back and see what I missed, and every time I do one of these videos, I always see some release that I had missed out before that, might tempt me to pick up something. Anyway, moving on to our first game line, we have Legions Imperialis. We have lots of new releases here. We have the artillery for the Solar Auxilia, along with the new plastic Arvus Lander box. Arvus Lighters. The Space Marines get new Land Raiders and drop pods, so lots of new options to deploy. The Arvus Lighter is actually the first transport the Solar Auxilia get their hands on, so that's pretty nice. The Land Raiders do have the assault transport rule and are big enough to carry Terminators, so they're a more offensive option than the Rhino. I do quite like the idea of the drop pods, more from a story perspective than anything else, and the idea of just having, a one of the Istavan's drop sites sounds like a lot of fun. We do also have some Warhounds. So we have the ones on the left, which are Warhounds from the big Legion box. And they had the different bases and they had some additional weapons, which were kind of new. But we also get the new Direwolf Titans. So they had been in resin before and now they're in plastic. So basically, these strap on Reaver sized weapons onto the back of them to make sure that their bite is worse than their bark. And now, a notable piece of info on these kits is that they are including terminals and cards for use with Adeptus Titanicus, even if the box is all Legions Imperialis branded. On one hand, that's great that Titanicus is still being supported. I really love that game. I know a lot of people do. But it does ask the question of why the Legion Imperialis cards aren't in those boxes. As right now, we don't have any of them for the Titan pieces. Moving on to Necromunda, we continue to work through the Ash Waste kits. So the Dalak get their masks and breeder heads. They also get a vehicle card pack and a re-release of their normal tactics cards. There's also a Zone Mortalis gang tactics cards coming along with this release. Now, the Dalak didn't get any new vehicles like many of the other gangs did, but given their lack of interest in direct sunlight, I don't think they're particularly upset by that. The two models in the middle are one of the reasons Necromunda is so fantastic. These are Dalak-specific versions of a Rogue Dock and a Gang Lookout. There are already some very nice generic versions, so they didn't necessarily have to bring out these Dalak-specific ones, but they could, and they did. In addition, you don't really need models for these. These are hangers-on, so you purchase them to have mechanical side effects outside of the main game. The only time they actually hit the table is in the rare situation when your home base is being attacked. So you don't really need to have these miniatures, but they're awesome, they're cool, so you're probably going to buy them. We also have the Outland Beastmaster with Wasteland Giant Rats, and then we also have the new leader for the Outland Outcast Nomads. So the rats are interesting because it's a 2-box release. One has a Beastmaster and a single giant rat, and the other has a box of 2 rats. Now, this counts as a brute, which anyone can take, but you're limited to the number of brutes and hangers-on you have, depending on your reputation. So the more fights you get in, the better your reputation gets, the more brutes and hangers-on you can have. The rats count as part of the whole. So your Beastmaster and the rats and your beasts. There are other types of beasts beyond these giant rats. So yeah, normally your 1 brute selection will be your Beastmaster and 3 rats. If I recall right, though, the previous Beastmaster releases for the Militaur and the Ripperjacks had the Beastmaster with 2 creatures. Now, that was a nice enough release, I guess, if you just wanted 2 creatures. But if you wanted to run full 3, you ended up having to buy that entire kit twice, which wasn't great. Whereas here, if you buy these 2 kits, you do get all 3 of your giant rats, and you get them all in different versions. Now, the flip side of that is if you want, for some reason, to get your Beastmaster in 2, you're probably going to buy all 3 and have one left over. But I honestly think that release makes a little bit more sense. Another thing, just to mention, is that this is kind of reminiscent of the rat skins. So these are a old warband that, for with good reason, aren't coming back in their old incarnation, which was a bit insensitive, quite frankly. The but in the Cal Jericho book, there is stuff mentioned that about the Ratskins, and suggests that Cal's buddy Scabs might be one. Now, I think the book is relatively well done. They're basically an unknown group, have a bit of an affinity with the creatures in that area of the Underhive, specifically in that part, the flying bat things. I think they're Ripperjacks. Now, this particular model, I do think harkens back to the whole Ratskin vibe without the possibly racist undertones that the old versions used to have, without directly bringing it up. So this is a Beastmaster. This isn't necessarily Ratskin. It just presumably the letter is from rats. Who knows? Of interest to this, I do think the old Ratskins have been replaced by the new Nomads, and we can see the leader on the right. His gear, his getup, is quite similar to the Beastmaster. Now, one thing we don't actually know is what's behind the mask for these Nomads. We've never had a model where we've seen them outside of their gear, so they may not even be human underneath. And they, in the story, they will always make sure to take the bodies with them. So no one is really sure what's underneath there. Anyway, got to do a bit of a ramble there. Fantastic releases as always from Necromunda. I don't think we got a for March. I'm just going to pause this. Yeah, I've just confirmed there. So the last Apocrypha was the Blood Ash and Gunshine, which came out in February. So we didn't get an Apocrypha this month, which is a bit of a shame. We haven't got them every month, but I've been kind of spoiled so much to think that it seems to be every month. So when we don't have one, I'm kind of surprised. Anyway, we've had some good releases from Necromunda. It's certainly not in a bad place. Missing 1 month isn't necessarily a bad thing. All right, moving on to Warcry. For Warcry, the big release was the re-release of the scenery. So these were the bigger boxes where, like Hunter Hunted had the Maw Pit, and now they've been released as kind of separate standalone pieces, parts of the scenery kits. So I think these will work quite well with that other scenery box if you're just starting out, or if you have more of the Snarlwood train and you just kind of missed parts of these, you could pick this up to pad it out. Of more interest to me is that Saber the Cinderfall box. The guys on the left, I absolutely adore the models, and we did get new rules for it. I posted as a PDF, which was great. We didn't have to wait for a White Dwarf for that particular one. These are part of the Order of Vizier faction. I do have a video looking at them, and these pair really well with Hexbane's Hunters, which is the other part of the Order of Vizier. So a bit of a weird faction within Warcry, but yeah, very cool models, very nice team, and the whole Witch Hunter vibe is always a win. Over with Warhammer Underworlds, we had the new Death Warband along with a Rhymelock Relics rival deck. The Warband is on Dara's Grey Breakers and has a nice little story of her lover getting cursed to become that werewolfy thing, whatever it is. So she takes up necromancy to save him. It's a real Disney fairy tale. We also got a re-release of several of the old warbands with new cards. So those are the 4 on the right. Unfortunately, you couldn't pick them up individually. It just needed to be part of a big box, which for me was a little bit frustrating. I didn't end up getting this because I already had 2 of them. I didn't want to get them again. It has gone out of stock, but maybe we'll be able to see people splitting them up on eBay. I do want to get Skittershank. Skittershank? No, it's Scritch. Scritch is the greatest. Yes. Yeah, I would like to get him picked up. Although we're seeing new Skaven models coming up, so that's going to be a bit of fun. All right, where else? Oh, we have more releases. We have Winter Maw, which is the new core box. This has the Brethren of the Bolt, a City of the Sigmar warband with zealots who've been struck by lightning or some form of another, and take it as a sign from Sigmar. They're not always right. Some of them are just crazy. The other side has the Skinner Skin warband, who are also quite crazy. They believe themselves, and I love the little themes that they've got through these various packs. These believe themselves to be great cooks, going out and finding delicacies out there. Personally, I like to think that they're all trapped in a is it cake show, and every time they kill someone, it turns out they are made of delicious, delicious cake. Kill Team didn't get a release in March, but did get a balanced data slate, which shifted the meta around a little. Some of the bigger Kill Team channels do have videos talking about this, but largely some teams got nerfs and some teams got buffs. So, the cycle continues. Hopefully, it improves metagame. Lastly, we have 498 White Dwarf. This does have the rules for the Blades of Cain for Kill Team, which are already available as a PDF online. There are more rules for FEC and the Cursed City, and we have a reprint of a bunch of the Hunter and Hunted narrative elements. So if you were just picking up one of them in the April release, so they've just come out individually, then you might want to pick up this White Dwarf to go along with it. It's just reprinted material from Hunter and Hunted, though. So I do feel that this and the Blades of Corn are both missed opportunities to use the space for more content. So these are redos of stuff that's already out there. And honestly, chances are if you were going in for either of them, you probably would have picked up that box already and have it. All right, in summary, things are ticking along nicely. As I said, I am quite late getting my monthly review this time, and I can actually see that some of the gaps are getting filled. So Kill Team has kind of been lagging behind, but it's had its big release. And Blood Bowl obviously had the gnomes recently, so we've had good stuff coming through. Legion Imperialis and Warcry have also had some good releases in the few weeks that we just started, or the single week. So yeah, I think we're still in a good place. I know GW are behind in a couple of schedules, but they seem to be doing a good job in getting things up. Now, hopefully there was something in that video that was new to you that you hadn't seen before that might tempt you to go out to your local store and pick them up. Because yeah, rather than worrying about whatever is going to be turning up in for pre-order and then arriving in your store 2 weeks after that, and then at this stage, basically it's a month before you get your hands on anything they're talking about right now. But yeah, hopefully there is something that you got out of this and you enjoyed it. And that's all I have for today. Thank you for listening. Thanks for making it all the way to the end. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Each week I put up a new video talking about one of Games Workshop's specialist games. The goal is always to try and make the best possible two-player experience. If this is something you'd find interesting, please subscribe to the channel and comment to let me know what you'd like to see in future.